Doom 2. This game has a lot of meaning for me. Now, it came out in 1994. I was just starting my sophomore year of college. I had a new computer. Well, I should say new computer, but actually it was sort of a revamp of the computer I had. Had Windows 3.1 on, had a hard drive to save stuff on it. So you can tell it had a lot. It was an upgrade. And so when I saw it at the Kmart near my college, I picked it up. I had played, well, I had seen the first one played, experienced it a little bit myself. It was fun, and I'm glad I got it. Now, this was the first Doom game that was released in full, because the first one, the first level was literally shareware, bordering on freeware. And if you wanted the whole game, you send it to you contact the company by mail or email, and they send you, actually, mostly by mail, as the world was just starting to get online at that time. And so this was literally the first Doom game I owned. And it added so much more to what already existed. It added a new weapon, and if you play the original Doom, you can get up to the rocket launcher in Episode 1. You can get up to the plasma gun in Episode 2. And you can get all the weapons, including the BFG, in Episode 3. Now everything was available to you, and a new super shotgun, which would fire two shells at once. Man, I think a lot of people still like that particular weapon in video games today. Now, it also featured new enemies. I mean, yes, you didn't encounter certain enemies until you played Episode 2 or 3. But even then, they still added more enemies for Doom 2. The Revenant, which is annoying as F. We had the Chain Gunner, or the Commando. The introduction of the Archvile, which was one of the nastier game changers. And a whole bunch of others that you've seen in Doom games over the years. It was something else. And this game also furthered the impact that Doom made on the gaming world. I mean, I remember working my way through the game, and I didn't play many multiplayer games. I did play one like deathmatch type thing on Doom 2. Yeah, a couple guys had installed it in the computer lab on some of the computers in the computer lab up in at my college, in the one computer lab. I think it was a chem computer lab. Yeah, they were the three of us were playing. Those two of them were on the same side. We're almost right next to each other. I'm on the opposite side. Ended up sniping them. A little bit of camping. Yes, I'll admit it was a little bit of a camp. And I shot a rocket right into his face as he opened the door. Hey, it's a good ambush tactic. It's like he looks to the guy next to you. Was that you? No, that wasn't me. uh, but it's But like I said, I remember working my way through the levels, and this was a game that it worked on, you know, fighting off the enemies and thinking your way through spatial puzzles when it comes down to it. I mean, to find some of the secrets, you had to really be aware of your levels that you were playing. And Doom was still the Doom 2 still followed the same mechanics that Doom 1 worked on. You couldn't have multiple levels in the sense that if you run over something, you're not going to run over something, holes don't intersect or overlap. Like, you can't have a vertical hole over a horizontal hole and be on two separate levels. And there is a section of Doom 2 where you do see that, and what they did was they had elevators in that section that raise and lower depending on where you're at, so you could just run across. And some of the puzzles did involve triggering stuff that could only be triggered when you eliminated certain enemies. Taking a running jump, they have to go fast enough to bridge a gap. Of course, you don't have a jump button in Doom, so you just have to run, build up enough of a run up and, Geronimo or something like that. And it was a fun game. They were fun games. And Doom 2 added something. Like, they put in secret levels. And what you ended up doing was the secret levels in Doom 2 were a nod to their predecessor games, 3D shooter game, which was Wolfenstein 3D. Now that was amazing, because they also include some of they actually used the level design for the first Wolfenstein game to make this bonus level. And the subsequent bonus level also had that feel to it. Of course, they also threw in a cyber demon on that level too to really F with you. And they also put a mock-up of Commander Keen in that last secret level, because the only way to open the exit is to wipe out the Keens, which is even funnier because when you do it, it's like you hear the death noise. But I think what really did make it very impressive was the final boss, the Icon of Sin. That was a puzzle in and of itself. And if you listen, I think if you decipher the sound wave that plays, it tells you what you have to do. You have to shoot the head of John Romero. And this is something you don't see unless you use one of the legendary cheat codes that came about with the game. There's a clipping cheat code. And you can actually go into where the Icon of Sin is and see John Romero's pixelated head on a stake. And it's kind of funny when you look at it. It is. But it's a puzzle in and of itself, where you have to be at the right height and to fire 2 rockets into the area where John Romero's head is. And of course, during this whole time, The icon of sin is shooting out blocks to generate enemies on the map, which makes it even nastier because they are completely at random. You could be lucky and have just maybe a few pinky demons running around, or you could be unlucky, have an archvile or two running around, mancubi, a couple revenants. I mean, all the ones that can shoot. You'd literally be a solo target. And they can't hit, like the monsters can infight, but they are not going to hit their boss, so to speak, because it's theoretically impossible from anywhere they are, except maybe for the cacos as they fly. But this game did have an impact. I mean, people will start creating levels or WODs for them, and to change the game, make it inventive. I mean, let's see, I had a few WODs in my lifetime. The best being, of course, Aliens Total Conversion. I believe the man's name was Justin Fisher. He designed a complete WOD replacing enemies with creatures from Aliens, making the weapons look like it. I mean, you could see the pulse rifle, you could see the smart gun, and eventually get a power loader. I mean, he did a good job with that one, using sound bits from the movie and everything. It was beautiful. It was epic. And I also remember getting a WOD because, let's see, a couple years after I got this, or at least a year or two after I got that, 11th Hour came out, and 11th Hour had 3 WODs in it for use in Doom, regular Doom, Doom 2, and Heretic, where you could actually be fighting in Stoff's banner. It was amazing, because they had to get past certain aspects of it, but it was an amazing thing to play, and I enjoyed that. And of course, there is still a great deal of speedrunning linked to Doom, to the Doom franchise, thanks to Doom 2. Like I said, this game really opened the floodgates. It's a fun experience. It's a challenging experience. I recommend everyone play this at least 2-3 times in their lives, maybe more. It's also a great way to let off steam. I mean, why shoot? Why take your aggression out on other people in physically real life when you could do it online in a quote deathmatch scenario? And I don't recall, maybe they did have it in Doom 1, but not many people probably had the capability until they got the full game. In Doom 2, you had it right away. So that was literally the start of the deathmatch scenario, which either strengthened or ruined friendships. The start of it, the real start of it, it redefined gaming. And of course, also the story of Doom 2 got novelized in as part of the Doom book series by David Uphew, and Brad Lindweaver. I'm trying to think. I think that was in the third book, but I'm not entirely sure. I'd have to really look back at the books, and I don't know if I still have my copies anymore. But that's all I'm going to say about Doom 2. It's a great game. I should talk more about the whole series after I get done with all the games. So thank you for listening. And give the video a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. This is Rich Gen X, Rich Kale on YouTube, Rich Gen X elsewhere. Have fun all.